The PC police versus patriotism. All right, some on the left moving further and further to the left and leaving American pride behind. On this Independence Day, we're going to take a look at how patriotism is becoming a political target. Here to react is visiting fellow with the Independent Women's Forum, Beverly Hallberg. Thanks for coming on this morning. Beverly, you know, a lot of things that people embraced and took pride in not so long ago, today they have an issue with. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think we've seen a waning in American patriotism for a while. Many people on the left think that American exceptionalism is fading. You had Pete Buttigieg even saying in May that America wasn't as great as advertised, or even the New York Times came out with a video this week saying that when it comes to America, it's just okay, and that even the notion that America is the greatest nation on earth is outdated at best and at worst completely inaccurate. So there seems to be this growing trend that if you have some type of country pride, you must be xenophobic or racist, because it's all based on the idea that in order for America to be exceptional, it has to be absolutely flawless in every area. It's okay to say America's history does have some problems, but that doesn't mean it isn't exceptional. That's a great point. We just got a tutorial on the Betsy Ross flag. Let's talk about the shoe that kind of started this conversation this week. Nike shoe that they were going to bring out, release, and Colin Kaepernick said no. He pulls a lot of weight around there now. And here's a statement from Nike. Nike made the decision to halt distribution of the Air Max 1 Quick Strike 4th of July based on concerns that it could unintentionally offend and detract from the nation's patriotic holiday. But let's take a look at a picture here from not too long ago, about 6 years ago, Barack Obama's second inaugural address, the first black president in the United States, and you can see the Betsy Ross flag flanking our current American flag there at the top. Nobody had a problem with this 6 years ago, Beverly. And this is why giving information like you just did in the segment prior and learning about the Betsy Ross flag is so important, because when people don't have the proper information, they do tend to be outraged about things that aren't supposed to be a big issue. And when it comes to Nike, I think it's laughable to say that they're doing any of this because of the issue of human rights, because they also removed one of their products in China because the designer of that Nike product was standing up for the pro-democracy groups in Hong Kong. So Nike is very inconsistent with their decisions. I think it's always a business decision for them, which they can do. Always. And then the public can decide whether or not they want to buy Nike anymore. Yeah, if anybody thinks that a major corporation has any morality at all they care about is the profit, and they're trying to figure out what they got to say to get to that point. All right, Beverly, we appreciate your time this morning. We do. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right.
So two breaking news stories we're following tonight. The rhetoric really ramping up on this Independence Day Eve about the president's 4th of July celebration, and the DOJ saying they're trying to find a way to have a citizenship question on the 2020 census. Let's bring in Republican Congressman from Arizona, Andy Biggs. Congressman, great to have you.
Good to be with you, Mike.
Take a listen to Hawaii Senator Mazie Hirono, and I will ask you to respond.
A show of military force, this is what he thinks is going to make him look strong. Quite the opposite. It makes him look, in my view, pretty pathetic, and someone who has totally wrong priorities. The 4th of July is supposed to be a national holiday. He's making it not only political, but he's making it all about himself. It's the Trump show, folks.
Congressman, what's your reaction?
I think that they protest too much, quite frankly. This is supposed to be, I mean, John Adams said once that this should be a holiday similar to Christmas. And I think what the president's trying to do is to pay homage and tribute to the families of military servicemen and women and the veterans that have served. I just don't know what the big deal is, quite frankly. I mean, like the flyovers. How many ball games have you been to when there's a flyover? First game of a college football season, there might be a flyover, or the Super Bowl gets a flyover. I mean, this is not unusual in the history of our country, but because it's Donald Trump, it really, they're so inflamed by anything that the president does that even something that is fairly benign like this is going to ignite him and just create this a horrible backlash.
Congressman, Politico is reporting there's a bit of a panic with White House officials and their allies expressing anxiety, worried they started preparations for the celebration too late. Have you heard any panic from your friends down at the White House?
I haven't heard panic. I heard concerns that maybe they started too late, but they do expect a great crowd, and they do expect to deliver on a wonderful program tomorrow. So they were concerned that maybe they got a little bit late jump on it, but I do think that they're beyond the panic stage, and they're into the groove, and they're ready to go.
Then there's the controversy over Nike pulling a July 4th themed shoe based on Betsy Ross's flag. Get this, one liberal voice compared that historic flag to a swastika.
Why don't we wear a swastika for July 4th? Because, I don't know, it makes a difference. The cross burning on somebody's lawn. Why don't we just have a Nike, celebration of the cross? Well, because those symbols are symbols of hate. So we can take PC culture back.
Congressman, what do you make of that?
It's just that kind of rhetoric really doesn't do anything to bring us closer together. I'm trying to understand how politically correct we've come, how a Betsy Ross flag that was put together and put on a tennis shoe is going to create this kind of division in this country today. It says a lot about the weakness of our future if we're going to be so offended that we can't even wear a tennis shoe with a Betsy Ross flag on it. I mean, and I look at Colin Kaepernick. I mean, here's a guy who doesn't like the flag, he doesn't like the national anthem, he doesn't like America, and of course he's going to project that. And I was really surprised that Nike actually said, "Okay, we're not going to produce the shoe." I think they were already in production, and they had to pull everything back, and that's a real crying shame because this is a flag that symbolized our fight for independence with Great Britain. So it's really too bad. It's a real shame.
President Trump evidently has not given up on a citizenship question on next year's census. Any sense of how he could include it?
Well, he's ordered DOJ to come up with a way to include it, and he's trying to conform with what the court said. But, Mike, you know what this was about is in the Constitution itself. The reason that you take a census is not to find out how many toilets or stoves or refrigerators or TVs or cell phones you have. It's actually to apportion the voters for congressional districts. That's really what the census was all about, and then it would be transported to the states for legislative districts. If you're counting illegal aliens who are in this country, people who cannot vote because they're here illegally,
right,
you are actually watering down the votes of people who are here legally. So California gets a disproportionate number of congressional seats and electoral votes for the president than, say, Wisconsin, that has far fewer illegal aliens in their population. So it really is a fairness issue to get at the bottom of this, and I think they're really going to try and get this done. They're fighting an uphill battle because of the Supreme Court ruling, though.
Congressman Andy Biggs of the great state of Arizona, see you back on the Hill after the break.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Have a happy 4th.
Thank you.